Well, a landmark bipartisan housing bill is set to become law at midnight tonight without President Trump's signature. Now, the president says he will not sign the measure, protesting the Senate's failure to pass his priority voter ID legislation, the Save America Act, but he's not going to veto it, meaning that the housing bill automatically becomes law again at midnight tonight. Now, the sweeping legislation aims to boost housing supply, cut regulatory roadblocks, and restrict large Wall Street investors from buying up single-family homes. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive are the CEO and Managing Director of Dolly Lenz Real Estate, Dolly and Jenny Lenz, respectively. Great to see you both.
You too.
So, all right, Dolly, first to you. You know, Ryan Serhant was on the program with Liz, and he said he didn't think the housing bill was really going to have much of an effect. What do you say?
No, we definitely think it's going to have an effect. I mean, especially if you look at the zoning changes, right? So if zoning becomes easier, we get more building. If we get more building, we have more supply. And hopefully the buildings won't fall down like Pfizer.
Right.
You know. There you go.
Right.
Yeah. We hope not.
Yes, yes,
that
exactly.
was so scary.
Yeah.
But if the Blackstones and the BlackRocks of the world aren't buying up single-family homes, then the average person will be able to. Right, so it's just a very exciting bill, and you can't compete with a BlackRock, right? They have $14 trillion across the entire world of AUM, right? The average Joe can't compete with that. So we're excited about this bill, and it's going to pass today, which is great.
We're very excited.
So here you go, at midnight tonight, and also too, you know, the work that Lee Zeldin is doing at the EPA, you know, getting the regulatory burden off of builders.
Exactly.
You know, the zoning regulations, which some are just ridiculous, as you both know.
The only way out of this housing problem is to build.
There you go.
Literally the only solution, and we're really excited about it. So we think it'll be a great thing.
I totally agree with you. Let's talk about existing home sales. We did get some data. Actually, it fell by 2.4%, so you can kind of think what you want of that. But you know, the estimate was 4.2 million. So we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown. The average median price right now for a home is $440,600. We're at the highest price.
It's a record.
It's a record price.
It's 36 consecutive months of increases, but at the same time, you can look at the data another way. It's 1.8% increase year over year. So it's not like last year it was 200,000 and now it's 440,000. So if people do want to buy, they really do have to step in. I mean, we walk around all around New York City and we wish we had bought literally everything, right? So people are still trying to get on that property ladder because things are only going to get more expensive.
Do you think that buyers are getting more adjusted to the fact that they're going to be paying about 6.5%?
1,000%. They're giving up on the 3%. They're giving up on the 4%. And they're saying, you know what, I better jump in. 36 months just passed. Everything got so much more expensive. I better jump in.
Right.
And that's smart.
Right. They're at 6.57% today, and we think they're only getting, higher.
I want to get to New York City with you guys because this is obviously your bread and butter. But real quick, the luxury market is still strong, though. We're seeing double-digit growth in the luxury market, right?
Absolutely. Very strong, continues to be strong. And it's really not explainable, except that people want a piece of the Big Apple, right?
There you go.
Other than that, it's not explainable.
And that the stock market is at all-time record highs, so people continue to take a little bit of money off the table and put it into a hard asset like real estate.
Let's talk about that, though, because the Pied-a-terre tax went into effect July 1st. Trying to explain it, I think, is a morass, but I'm going to try. So basically, it's a tiered system, but it's homes that are $5 million, but co-ops and condos, that is, from what I'm understanding here, $1 million hit. That is a lot of real estate in New York City that's going to get hit with this. I'm not sure homeowners understand these notices when they come in the mail, what they're even going to do.
Well, for example, 432 Park, which is one building alone, right? That building on the Pied-a-terre tax apparently is a $15 million a year surcharge to the people who live in that building. And it's not a big building. It's very few units.
Right, and it's supposed to bring in $500 million a year of annual revenue, right? Because it is an annual tax. It's not a one-time tax, but we'll see if that happens because if these people decide to leave, which are the wealthier people, right, that let's say live in Miami and whatnot, and they decide to rent, right, that we will not get, New York will not get that money.
They
right?
vote with their feet, right? So
well, they're already, money is mobile. No, and they are voting with
right,
this.
and we're vilifying Ken Griffin. I mean, why are we vilifying him?
Yeah.
You know, and he came out yesterday, we were talking earlier, he said at a Goldman Sachs conference that, socialism doesn't work. You should read your history books, right? And crazy is defined as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? So he says that Citadel will be here a lot longer than the mayor will. So.
And the 19-year-olds that back it are backing it because they really don't know, right? They're too young, they're too inexperienced, they really haven't worked, and they don't understand. It's a nice idea.
Right.
but it doesn't work.
I'm not even sure it's a nice idea. I think it's a horrible
No, it's a
idea.
nice
but-
idea. We should all be housed.
But
Yes.
I understand that he's appealing to his voter base. But you two more than anyone that I know you really understand that pipeline of New York to Florida. What does this mean for that pipeline, in your opinion, right now?
Oh, it's going to even push it further. So you're seeing people being now not able to live in Florida. They're moving to South Carolina. They're moving to North Carolina.
Right.
They're moving wherever because they cannot afford Florida, because people coming from the Northeast are just inundating Florida with purchases. And therefore, they're driving up prices.
And pricing them out.
Yes, and pricing them out. Just not in every way. HOA fees, in every way, they're pricing them out.
And taxes only go up. All of these taxes, have you ever seen a tax that has been eradicated? So, it's just unbelievable. But
Yep.
What do you think that this does to the market here in New York? Just to focus back on the Big Apple just for a second.
I think New York is very resilient, as evidenced by the last few months, right? So I think we'll be okay. But obviously, it would be better if this weren't the case, because we are driving key people out, which will drive restaurants down, which will drive all services
it's the trickle-down effect.
Exactly,
right? You
schools.
won't hire the people that they hire.
Right.
And the rising tide lifts all boats. And those people who don't even use our goods and services, right? They're in Miami, Palm Beach, 90% of the time. Again, why are we vilifying them, right? They're paying huge, high property taxes, and they're not even here. I mean, those are the ideal clients. It's like if someone rented my apartment and never showed up. There's no wear and tear. It's the ideal situation. So I don't understand.
And there's ways around it. So, for example, if you rent out this home that you're not occupying, you're not subject to the tax. So we're getting a lot of people coming to us and saying, please rent out my home.
Right, put my apartment on the market for
rent, because then I'm not subject to the tax, right? A lot of people don't know that, but the people that do know it are actually implementing that. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, we'll see in the long run.
It's a strategy, though.
Yes, yes. At least they have one.
People are going to figure this out.
Yes.
Well, Dolly and Jenny Lenz, it's always great to have you both on the program.
Oh, you're great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No.